Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the second edition of the ForzaRC Series 1 recap. My name is Bravo. Happy to be with you again here live from Seattle. We've got a really fun second show set up for you. Of course, not only are we going to be looking at the last 4 rounds of Series 1, but also going to be getting into even more team racing. We've got the guys from TX3 here and some new racers coming in as well. And, of course, going to be also jumping into looking ahead towards the Series 1 playoffs. As I said, the guys from TX3 are still here. Dominant earlier today, a great performance from them. Excited to see more from them in team racing. We'll see if they can take that first spot here in our second part of the show. It's going to be a lot of fun. We'll have some wild card track combos here again as well. The ForzaRC recap show starts right now.
And welcome back to Seattle, Washington. We're going to have some amazing team racing today. Along with Ali Tack, I'm Scott Cole. And, of course, Flip Mode, a.k.a. Andy's still hanging out with us. He's going to be calling all 3 races coming up here in our evening show. And, guys, we saw some amazing team racing earlier. TX3 coming back for some more punishment.
Yeah, a little bit more punishment. Like you say, JSR wrapping it up in the first round. How great was that to see them right at the top of the table?
Yeah, they had great performances, multiple podiums, but are they going to do it again here tonight in the second round?
If you're just catching up to what happened earlier, it was not a domination by TX3. It was the JSR boys coming over the Jap Speed style, putting down 86 points on these kids and walking away with a nice finish. It was not only Rossi and Mitch there in the first 2 races, but Commando got involved in race number 3, and he put up some nice points.
I tell you what, TPR wouldn't have tied for second if it hadn't been a slightly lucky call, I think, for Chemical, who put on a real crazy move on Lightning in that last race. We'll all go back and watch that one again, because that was, yeah, some rough old stuff.
Yeah, that's a good question. If he would have got called for a penalty there in the adjudication process, maybe TX3 would have been all alone in second place.
It's possible. Sure, yeah, absolutely. But awfully close, but I expect the same again.
All right, so we have some new teams that are going to be joining the realm here tonight. Let's take a look at some of the North America teams we have. Of course, the guy from AMS, they're coming over from Europe, but I'm saying for the North American show. You know the TX3 boys, Lightning, Hard BR, seeing it, they're still with us here. And you have from JSR, they're calling themselves the A team, but you seem to think they're the B team. South, Veeps, Hysterical filling in for Craviator, and then TPR, Box, Lou, Beater. He's there as long as the AMS guys. Roadrunner, you know him, the former champ, Vanquish, and Europa.
I got to tell you, AMS's squad here, they are strong. They're super strong. This one, I think, for me, I'm going to call it right away. AMS are going to take the win here.
Ooh, man, it seems like an easy call on paper. I mean, this is actually 3 ranked drivers here for the AMS team. So, you're right. I got to agree with your choice there. But it's racing. Anything can happen.
We'll be breaking down some of what you saw in Season 1, but it's really a celebration of Series 1 here in 2018 for the ForzaRC. And when you look at these drivers, not only are they fast, but you put them in a team concept, some of them flourish and some of them fade away.
They do. We saw it earlier today with JSR Rossi, this guy who he doesn't win races in individual competition. You put him in a team competition, suddenly he shines. What will that be, especially, I think, for Vanquish? Where will he be at? Great momentum in the individual. What's he going to do in teams?
Well, let's jump back over to Bravo to get us ready for race number 1.
All right, hey, thanks, guys. Of course, more polls today. Make sure you're watching on watch.ForzaRC, and so you can vote and get all the incentives that are offered, of course, through the in-game rewards as well. Take a look at these right here as we take a look at everything you can earn from completing these quests and unlocking these prizes here. 69 Charger, the 77 Ford Escort RS 1800, as well as the Night of the Round Circuit Driver Suit. Be sure to pick up those, once again, watch.ForzaRC.com to complete those quests. But let's also talk about race number 2 poll. We're going to have polls opening right now between the Ford Escort RS Cosworth and the 2012 Dodge Challenger SRT 8392. Earlier today, the Challenger won. We saw Lightning take first place with that. We'll have to see if that's the case again, as he was able to pull away from the pack pretty convincingly. Let's also talk about race 1 poll results. Of course, determining if what we're going to find out at Silverstone. Normally, we're at the mercy of the weather gods, but for this show, we're actually at the mercy of you at Silverstone. We'll get those results up in just a second, but 18 turns in total here at Silverstone. Going to open up with a diverse set of turns. T3, first tight, heavy braking zone, into T4, which is really just your wide feeder from max speed into 5 and the straight. Of course, big sweeping turns to the old start finish. That's Woodcote and Copse, and eventually into Maggots and Beckett's, and a big final overtake opportunity through turn 16. Let's also talk about the cars that we're going to see as well. It's going to be 3 24-hour winners here. It's going to be the 1988 Jaguar #1 Jaguar Racing XJR9, a V12 inside there. Not only did that car win the 24 Hours of Daytona that year, also the #2 Silk Cut LM winning Le Mans in that same year. Next up, we've got the 1991 number 55 Mazda 787B. That car is going to need really good exits at 5, 7, and 14 if it wants to hit top speed on those straights. 4-rotor engine there, though. Expect that to sing on those straights. And lastly, 1991 number 23 Nissan R91 CP. Going to have the best grip of the 3, and that car would also go on to win in 92 at Le Mans. So 3 pretty great cars here. Guys, back over to you.
Yeah, that was 4 years of absolute dominance out there on the racetrack. The vote was in. It's going to be wet on Silverstone again. We saw the rain earlier. Much to the chagrin of our drivers, Lightning was like, if you just leave it dry in this Nissan, I am going to dominate. No, I'm sorry, Mama Lightning. I see you out there watching. It's going to be wet for your boy out on Silverstone. How does that make you feel?
Yeah, a dry day at Silverstone is, I think, entirely hypothetical at this point. It's always raining in the UK, always raining out in Silverstone. So very, very authentic here on Forza.
We saw the cars adapt, though, differently in the dry to the wet. So I'm going to expect that to happen again. The Nissan came out awfully fast, but in the second half of that race, that Nissan changed, didn't it? And the race the race matured.
Absolutely. We got the grid ready for race #1. Let's take a look at it right now. These guys qualified earlier. There's Roadrunner. He's going to be on top. Lightning in second. Box in third. Feels like Christmas all over again.
Here we go. Here we go. We've got South as well. I'm so happy to see South out racing in the Forza Racing Championship.
On a racing game. So a lot of that's not going to impact them too much. A lot can happen. He's got 11 cars in front of him. He can only go up that order.
It's good to see Roadrunner qualifying well. I know these are just exhibition team events, but what you're hoping is individually that you're able to start carry some momentum. We're only 10 days away from the Series 1's playoffs. That's on the 16th and 17th. And just a reminder, of course, we are celebrating Series 1, but we are racing today. There's no doubt about it. I know it's team racing, which is always fun to see. 3 different cars out on the track, and we are getting close to rocking and rolling here on race #1. Box is always a wild card. We talk about it. This is a guy that could be on the podium or he could be over in the pit with half his car turned upside down.
We've been watching this whole series so far, Scott, through the lens of different regions, EMEA races, North America races. Bam, we're colliding them all together here in a global race. Roadrunner, Lightning, and Box. That lead pack is so compelling.
I don't see any Bam on here. That's a great team as well, all right?
You gave me pause for thought there, Scott. I was like, what did I just say?
Oh man, when you look at Lightning, he was fast earlier today, especially in that Nissan. He's going to be back in it again, and we are already on the racetrack. So I'll turn it over to you, Andy. Let's go.
Oh, looks like we're on lap 2, so we missed it. Looks like the first lap, but we're going to catch you guys up lap number 2. And up front, it's well, looks like Lightning maybe ahead of Roadrunner. No, excuse me. It is Roadrunner in front of Lightning. So unchanged up at the top from qualifying.
So those two leading the pack right now. Roadrunner, Lightning, followed by Box in 3rd place. And he's in quite a close battle with JSR South. So South, this driver we're talking about, not somebody we've seen a lot of at the Forza Racing Championship so far, but definitely a driver who we've been watching out for. Super fast in community racing.
Head to head in the Nissan R91C. Coming around cops now, high speed on exit. Just look at Box stretch that track.
Amazing to watch the rear squirming around as the cars fight their way through the old turn 1.
But Box ever so slightly. I think he's just got a nicer line there than South through the very trick at Maggots and Beckett's. Need a great exit here as you're now headed down the Hangar Straight, headed towards Stowe, turn number 15.
You're so right about that. It's all about getting the power down as you exit Maggots and Beckett's, pulling out optimal speed down that back straight and just closing the gap to the car in front. Something that JSR South has just done incredibly well.
Here comes South, though. Look at this. Now into Vale, into the tricky club. Another part where you need a great exit. And it's all about maintaining that grip. And look at the South. He's going to tuck in right real close, just behind Box. It's going to be here. Perhaps into Abbey. I hear a touch.
Gosh, it's so close at Box.
Goodbye, Box. We'll see you later.
Off the track. What was that? South's tap was on the straight. That wasn't under braking. What went wrong there? Unbelievable.
Yeah,
Send us a postcard when you get back, Boxes. You're well off the track.
But looking now, this is TPR Lou. Looking ahead, that's JSR Hysterical and TX3 Senna just to the left of me. Then it's like Hysterical and Senna side by side.
Way I can get through.
Looking back, now you can see Hysterical is going to hit the rack. He's going to lose the car. Now come Lou. Lou takes that spot, doesn't need the invitation. Hysterical's back there as well. And Hysterical's made up, or Lou's made up 2 spots in 2 corners.
Brilliant, brilliant stuff from Lou. Well done, and you know what, nicely timed as well. You can see that first few spots of rain on the lens now. So Lou getting it done while it's still dry, and now he can settle into his own line as the wet starts to fall down on Silverstone.
You know, I didn't see Lou coming in here and riding this Jaguar XJR9 like he is now, but boy, he's got that thing sorted. He probably put in some extra practice.
You've got to think, right, it's all about throttle control. It's all about those minutiae of millimeters in your right finger, just making sure that things are absolutely perfect.
Let's don't forget that this track is about to change tremendously right now from laps 3 to 6. It's going to become a totally different circuit.
Further down this order, this is Beater just up ahead looking back, and look at this Hysterical and Beater side by side. This is where Veeps here as well.
This is where the 787 earlier today really struggled once the rain came down.
On the track. Squirming around there, looking for a place through on the inside of Beater, being held out. It's a difficult move to make there through the final corner.
Riding aboard Hysterical just in front of him. This is Beater just in front. Hard right-hand turn, heavy braking. You need to get that car nice and sorted on exit.
Let's check in with Brian. He's down on the track.
I just wanted to show off a quick moment there that Box had. I don't know if it was the track is getting cold and he's losing grip here. We know this Nissan is a really good grip car, but look at this. He just sort of spins off in that right-hand turn. He goes from 3rd down to 6th, and now he's struggling to get back in podium position.
Great stuff, Brian. Appreciate it.
And before that happened, Box started this race and qualified on 3rd. So a shame to see him drop down that order. Can his teammates come in and step up and help him out? This is Hysterical that we're riding aboard, just looking ahead to Beater. And what a battle here down in the order. Lap 4 of 8, halfway through this race.
You got to remember, this is JSR, the team who wrapped up the event earlier on today, looking to make it the double, fighting with TPR's representative, Beater. Someone we haven't seen before in the Forza Racing Championship, but maybe an old hand on Forza. And we're coming back through Maggots and Beckett's now toward that back straight.
That back straight we're about to head on. Hanger straight. And look at this. We're going to... Hysterical. He's up alongside Veeps, and then Beater, we know he's there as well.
It's not easy, is it? These two just eyeing each other up, using every inch of this track. Just about holding him back for now, Beater, but the pressure will be absolutely on him. Excuse me, Hysterical is through.
If you're Beater, you got to come out of Maggots and Beckett's with a little bit more momentum with that, especially in the 787. You know you got to use the straights to their full potential.
Yeah, Hysterical made that move, and look at him, he's gone. Gone is JSR Hysterical. You can barely see him on the screen. This is Beater, who he just passed. You can just off in the distance right now. Right now, though, this is TX3 Lightning. Qualified second in this race, and that's where he stands right now, looking ahead to AMS Roadrunner.
These two practice together a lot on Forza, Roadrunner and Lightning. They train together and they work together to make pace. It's counterintuitive because they're on different teams, but they're very good friends. They know how each other drive, so Lightning will want this battle. He'll want to get in a good old fight.
Still riding aboard TX3 Lightning, coming through Cox. This is a high-speed corner. And of course, their lines they have to, and they want to tank, have changed with this wet. So what they're typically used to, they got to take a little bit off the throttle, and maybe Lightning needs to get back on that throttle if he's got any chance to catch up to AMS Roadrunner.
Difficult point in the race. Just want to get in your momentum. Just run your laps, get your race pace up as fast as you possibly can. The Nissan we were talking about before, that's what Lightning's running here. The fastest car in the wet. That's because it delivers a little bit more grip, a little bit less top speed, and just lets you optimize slightly more when the surface is clammy. Lightning sideways there over the crest.
Now he's pushing indeed, and you can just see it. You can see him pushing this car for everything it's got. Your order, AMS Roadrunner, TX3 Lightning in second. Third on the field, it's TPR Lou, then to Box, his teammate, and then Senna Veeps in eighth.
I love these Group C cars. I love them, Andy. They're so cool. Watch them on track, gripping like crazy. Absolutely incredible racing machines. Really, from an age before electronics took over driving, a raw driving experience. You know, you squirm on the throttle, you power down, the engine just drives straight to the rear tires. The steering is twitchy and difficult to handle. Awesome to watch.
Awesome to watch, but you know what? It's also a great car to race in Forza, and this is just one of those fantastic cars. You're right, like you said, no fancy electronics here, nothing. These cars were just built lightweight and go as fast as possible. But lap 6 of 8. Oh, look at this. This is Europa now. In a battle for 4th place, that's TPR Lou having a fantastic race in the Jag. This is the Mazda 787 of Europa behind him in a battle for 4th place.
Where were Lou and Beta earlier today? I've got to say they're putting a better show on than the A team, if you like, from TPR, Total Performance Racing. They're up here at the front, both of them fighting for great positions. And yeah, I mean, great showing. Where have you been all my lives, Lou and Beta?
Lou's looking awfully fast, but don't count out AMS Europa. AMS Europa, the 27th ranked driver coming into this race. So we know he's got pace and race pace as well to match. But the sun's coming back, though. Are we going to get some sun? Is this track going to dry up for the last 2 laps?
Europa would like that. That Mazda has all the top end, all the power to put down the track. And it's just about getting the traction, getting the rear wheels to blast all that horsepower onto the asphalt. He's going to be looking for any opportunity here as the track begins to dry and a dry line begins to appear where the cars are pounding the water off the surface.
Lou, not the cleanest there through Brooklands in the complex of Luffield, now through Woodcock onto the old start finish straight. And this is that Cobb's Corner. Everyone's favorite. It's one you just got to be real brave as you go through, don't you?
It is. It's a difficult one. You just throw the car at it. You throw it at it and you hope it sticks.
Lap 7 of 8 and your lead. AMS Roadrunner to TX3 Lightning. On screen is your battle for 4th. TPR Lou and AMS Europa. Jag versus Mazda.
The guy we're not mentioning here, sitting in 3rd, is JSR South. He's had a good race, a strong performance. I think he'll be happy with it. You know, it's races like this, it's incredible lobbies that we put together at Forza Racing Championship where all these pro drivers come out. And coming out and doing such a good showing for South kind of says to me, like, why aren't you here more often? You know, come out and race.
Also, Sienna racing a lot better. He told us at lunch when we went out that he actually didn't have audio for this race the first time around, that you desperately need that when you're working with the rev limit on that Jaguar.
You do. I mean, it's shifting up through the gears. You're going to miss with the audio. You're going to be clipping that top gear, you know, top of the revs.
We ride aboard TX3 Senna here in studio. The Frenchman making a long way here and having a much better race here in the second round of racing today than he did earlier on. And I think he's just getting a little more comfortable. You can clearly see it in his performance here today.
I mean, challenging Box. This is somebody who's been running a solid second in EMEA behind maybe Liège throughout the entire Series 1. Incredible momentum this year from TPR Box. And Senna giving him a run for his money.
The final lap, lap 8 of 8. And in that top 4, all 4 teams are represented. AMS. Then you get to TX3. You get to TPR, or JSR South in 3rd, and then TPR in 4th. So all 4 teams evenly spread out. And something to look forward to as we get later on the race. But final lap here, folks. AMS Roadrunner Lightning, JSR South to TPR Lou, your top 4.
How will this work out on points? We've got AMS as the leader of maybe the Nissans, those top 4. Then we've got AMS in 5th place as well, and then 10th. That's actually a relatively strong showing for a very spread field.
TPR Lou, how about his job, though? His performance so far in race number 1, moved up 3 spots from this grid. He qualified in 7th, now in 4th. So, and that's not easy to pass in this car, in the wet, in this class, against these guys, is it?
Nothing's easy. Nothing's easy. You've got to remember all these drivers are out there with no racing line, no assists, nothing to make this game easy for you. You have to modulate the throttle on your right finger. You've got no stability control. You've got to modulate the brakes. There's nothing to stop them looking up as lightning. Big old snap there from his Nissan.
He's just got to hold on to it now. I think catching to Roadrunner's not going to be an option. This is them approaching Stowe for the final time. Just 2 more corners remaining after Stowe. AMS Roadrunner, your leader, ahead of TX3 Lightning. Lap 8 of 8, race number 1, folks. And we got 2 more races to come. Good showing and a good start from the AMS Alien Motorsports driver and ForzaRC 3 champion.
Yeah, reigning champion and crossing the line. Brilliant stuff.
AMS Roadrunner takes the race win. TX3 Lightning finishes in 2nd, JSR South in 3rd, TPR Lou in 4th. And that remained unchanged. We got all 4 teams represented in the top 4.
Will Roadrunner's teammates' results be enough to support him? That's the question. You know, he's done a great job there. 1st place in the first race, stuck his flag in the ground. But Europa and Vanquish, were they high enough up the field?
This race is going to be, or this team battle is going to be won, in perhaps with those drivers in the middle of the field. Maybe not so much of the lead.
Absolutely right.
When you look at the back of the field, am I stirring the pot here to say Hard BR, ranked number 1 in the world, has looked absolutely terrible these first 4 races? I'm just keeping it real. I mean, he's had a bit of unluck, and sometimes that happens in motorsports. You have a guy take you into the wall. You have a guy give you 100% damage. Next thing you know, you find yourselves in the pits. Really has not been a great showcase for him as we take a look at the provisional results of race number 1. Okay, they're still not ready. Still trying to figure out those last couple guys that came across the line there. Looking back at that, we don't want to put anything up there that isn't of kosher yet. But what am I to make of it? I mean, this is our first time seeing them. We cover a lot of North America. We cover a lot of Europe. Finally get an opportunity to showcase some of the LATAM guys, and it hasn't come to fruition yet.
Yeah, I mean, the big question mark has always been how competitive are the regions relative to each other? So how easy is it to score points in one region compared to another? Is it harder to get points in the races in EMEA than it is in LATAM?
Yes.
There you go, yes. That seems to be the answer right now, because Hard BR may be coming onto the global scene and not able to just keep that number 1 position.
Listen, you don't get a number 1 world ranking and be a slow driver. He earned a number 1 spot, whether that be Latin America, EMEA, or North America. In my mind, he earned that. So he's just going to be able to say, listen, I earned it, and I'm going to need to tell you why I earned it. So yet to be seen. He's yet to tell us why, but I know he can do it.
And I think this is a good experience for him here. He was at the Invitational. Now he's here, having some exhibition race with us, because it's one thing to do it when you're sitting in your bedroom, with your PJs on. But when it comes time, you got to put that jersey on and show out. I just think he's had a bit of unluck in this run. I know I'm stirring the pot a little bit, but sometimes things just absolutely don't go your way.
I mean, look, they're in the studio. TX3 is sitting here in the studio. They got almost every disadvantage. They're listening to us harp on about them. They're working their fists, getting ready to give you a good old punch later on, Scott. They've got every excuse maybe to not be completely on pace. At the same time, they're out there racing. They're pushing the other drivers in the Forza Racing Championship super hard here, despite that disadvantage.
Let's take a look at the provisional results. This time we got them, I promise. As Roadrunner's going to be up top. Lightning, you talked about South actually making a good run. Lou, who? He's in there in 4th.
I mean, I'm glad South is up there on 3rd in this, because I've played PUBG with him. I can tell you he sucks at that. So,
wow, jeez. The stream just speaking of South, the stream just went south. Any thoughts on this, Andy?
Box. I mean, we saw a mistake, or perhaps contact wasn't exactly clear to me. It did look like he lost that rear end, but Box, I expect him to be faster here in race number 2.
Well, we're just around the corner from race number 2. We're in the adjudication process right now, and when you look at this race, when you think back to it, I know the wet does cause some issues out there. Saw a little snapping even from Lightning out there. And the Nissan, which actually has great grip, whether it's dry or wet. We'll get to more of that. We'll have a recap on the other side of race number 1. Sit tight. Back here in Seattle, Washington, just right around the corner from the Space Needle. Literally, when we walk outside, we are in the shadows. Good race number 1. We saw some drama, and we also saw Roadrunner just out there. Little rain coming down, no big deal. Check the rear view. Lightning's behind me, no big deal. But he did put out there that he really thought Lightning had a great race there, but you finished 2nd. So I don't know where to actually put this comment. It's like, hey, great job, buddy, but you're 2nd. And by the way, let's go over to Brian. Who the heck is Lou?
Well, if you're a longtime Forza race fan, you might know the name Lou. He's been around forever. He's been around since the Forza 2 days, and last really seen in racing in late Forza 5, but here he is back here. He's like the Davy Skills of North America. He's back, and he's making a name for himself. We're going to take a look at some of that replay now as we check out the race, what happened there in the first race of the day. You got to say Lou had a fantastic race here. Here's some action between BB Eater and Vanquish, some early action, and great. We saw this early. We saw the TPR box sort of spinning himself off. Didn't look like there was any contact there. I guess that was maybe just simple driver error. Hard to believe, but it's the case. Here's Europa in the 787B, and there's Lou making a great pass on him there. Now, remember, Lou started in 7th position, had a fantastic drive in the wet in that Jaguar, ended up in 4th place. But I also have to, I wanted to do a quick shout out on the TX3 guys. If we look at how they finished this morning compared to how they finished, as you mentioned, Scott, Lightning 2nd in both races. Hard BR was 5th in race 1 this morning, unofficially 12th place here. And then Senna started in finished in 10th this morning, now in 7th unofficially.
Yeah, I thought Lou had a great run early in the race, but I questioned when the precipitation started to develop, was he going to be able to hold it? Prove me wrong.
Yeah. It's a great drive for him, though. Is he sort of re-entering into the Forza RC here? Is that, I hate to say old-timer, but he's been around a long time, making a name for himself.
I love the impact. I love the way he just come in, make a massive statement like that. I'm way up there, 4th in the standings. And, you know, from where, almost?
Right.
From nowhere, almost.
Right.
Instincts. His instincts kicked in. And you know, all it took was a controller and a racetrack, and he found himself in 4th place.
I love it.
Well, let's go over to Bravo, who's still kicking it with the guys.
Ready? Hey, thanks, guys. Down here with the TX3 crew right now with Hard BR. We also got Lightning and Senna, of course, with us in the studio. Hard BR, #1 ranked on the global leaderboard. Something we didn't get to talk about in the earlier show that I want to talk about is we haven't seen a lot of your driving style, right? Because you're racing in Latin America, and we have EMEA and North America on these shows. For people who maybe didn't see the Invitational or haven't got to watch a lot of you, how would you describe your driving style?
Well, the driving style depends so much of the car, you know. It's kind of changed of which car you're doing. But in general, I could describe it as aggressive, but precise at the same time, taking the limits and trying to get the car as fast as possible around the track.
Cool. Any favorite cars or tracks that, imagine we're at the Series 1 playoffs and you're taking a look at the lineup or any set of races. Any cars or tracks or even types of cars that you really lean towards that you find yourself excelling at?
Oh, well, the type of car, I could say the cars that oversteer, because that, for me, that's the best car, because I can find the best line through the corners. I don't like so much the cars that understeer. Favorite track, probably I would say Bathurst. It's quite a nice track. You always had to run on the limit, close to the walls, and that's very exciting to see the cars just keeping through the walls. You know, that's too much to go.
Excellent. Yeah. I hope. I know we got to see some fun races in between the shows. Some Tankful 24 trucks going up the mountain on Bathurst. So I hope we can see you at Bathurst again. You guys are going to look to bounce back here in race #2 in the team races. But looking back at race 1, you guys had Lightning in first place. He got out in front with the Challenger, yourself in the DBR1. Anything you're going to change going into race #2?
Well, probably trying to don't look too much at the trucks because they block your view.
Yeah.
So I will try to get rid of them on the apexes. So then I can see where I brake, and trying to make a little bit more of committed moves and watching the car in front to see what is going on.
Excellent. Very much looking forward to race #2. I'm sure it's going to be pretty exciting once again. Best of luck to you and the team in this race. Guys, back over to you.
Bravo. Well, always good to talk to Hard BR, even though I was giving him a hard time earlier. We got the final results in for race #1. Let's take a peek at how everything worked out. If there was any penalties assessed, yes, Sienna, he's in the studio. He's got a 5-second penalty. He's right here. We just make him do push-ups. Are we okay with that? 5 push-ups for 5-second penalty?
5 push-ups. He has to do them, yeah. I have to do it off camera.
But, really, the top stick stays the same, and that's what's important. Those were the guys up there really earning it.
And look at that. AMS TX3, JSR TPR. AMS TPR, JSR, JSR. So where does that leave us? Is that JSR leading the way with maybe all 3 clustered quite nicely in the scores? Or is it AMS leading the way with a bit more of a spread but maybe high positions?
Yeah, 3 guys in the top 8. You got to think JSR there, I think.
Yeah, those 20 points, though, by AMS, that adds up if he can continue to carry his team. We saw Rossi do that in the Invitational, even though a lot of his guys weren't helping him out. As long as you keep getting those 20 points, sometimes that's enough to carry your guys to victory. So we're getting ready for race #2 out there. But any final thoughts from race 1? I know we saw the official results, but anything out there that surprised you or you're looking forward to? Because these are, as we mentioned, these are some old names and some new names.
I love seeing the old names. It's great to see them coming back out and racing at the Forza Racing Championship, which is, relatively new for some of these guys, I guess.
Sure.
They've been around since Forza 2. They've been here long before the ForzaRC came along, and it's good to see them discovering competitive Forza in this new light and the new way that we're doing stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And also keep in mind that this was the combination that the guys actually were prepared for. Now, it's roll of the dice. We don't know which track. They don't know which combination of cars they're going to be getting. So now we get to see real instincts come out.
Well, back in the day, you would go to the Microsoft store and you'd race for a $50 gift card. Now you're racing for $250,000. Let's go back over to my main man, Bravo. What's up for race #2?
Hey, I would still love a $50 Microsoft Store gift card if anybody's still giving those away. I could use a few of those. Let's go ahead and take a look at the race #2 poll. That's going to be between the car selection here to see exactly which one edged out. And it's going to be the Ford Escort RS Cosworth Forza Edition. I was chatting with Lightning for just a moment before this. He's going to be in that car. He said, don't expect me to be able to do what I did in the Challenger in this race. But I think he can prove himself wrong. Excited to see him go. But let's look at all the cars we have here in this race number 2 car preview. Of course, once again, returning here is the heaviest car in the franchise. I shouldn't call it a car. It is a truck, a huge truck. The 2015 Mercedes-Benz number 24 Team Tank Pool 24 racing truck, over 1,000 horsepower and a 12.8-liter turbocharged inline 6 tons in weight. And also the 1958 Aston Martin DBR1. That's what we saw Hard BR getting into in that first set of races. I'm expecting to see that same thing here. And then lastly, of course, the 1992 Ford Escort RS Cosworth. It's a beast built for the World Rally Championship, but in terms of lap times could be a bit behind what else we see on the course. Of course, initially built as a homologation specials used just to get FIA accreditation into Group A rally racing by the storied English tuners at Cosworth. But we got to take a look at this circuit. We're back on the circuit of the Americas. And what a wild, not only do we have these 3 cars up against each other, but also in the most technically demanding track potentially in the game. It's in Austin, Texas, 3.4 miles, 5.5 kilometers, 20 turns in total, with a lot of fun elevation changes, especially that first hairpin. Like Scott said earlier, you can see some ridiculous scenes with that truck, the DBR1 and the Escort coming up around that first hairpin. So it's going to be a really exciting race. Guys, back over to you.
Appreciate it, Bravo. And without delay, we are ready to go this time. Let's check out the grid, see what we're going to have for race number 2. You saw the official results, and that is how we're going to do it in race number 2. So Roadrunner is going to be up front, Lightning in second, South, Lou, Europa. You better watch out because Box is sitting right there in 6th.
Where are the trucks? That's what we want to know. Where are they going to be on that grid? Because they make such a massive difference. We were talking about it before. They almost punctuate the grid. So difficult to get past them, so difficult to defend against them.
By the way, great comment coming in from Venom of F4H talking about team racing isn't a representative of how fast a guy is or not, especially when we're throwing all these different elements, different kind of cars, all kind of stuff. But we are ready for race number 2. Andy, we're all green.
And we are off, headed uphill to turn number 1. It looks like we got a truck up front. This is TPR Lou, who had a great race, but it's Roadrunner versus Lightning, and they have paired off into different cars. We saw how close the truck and the Aston Martin were. Now we get a chance to see how the Cosworth comes into play here.
That wheel on the roof will be an extra 50 horsepower, that's for sure. Absolutely awesome to see. I love a Forza Edition car, and it's good to see him out here racing at the Forza Racing Championship. Roadrunner, pole position, takes the truck. Good thought there, because I reckon that is going to help him hold people behind him.
Here we go. That was Roadrunner Lightning Lou. And this right behind him, this could be a combination of the JSR drivers, South and Veeps. But up ahead, now we're coming to the most crucial part of this track. We're approaching the back straight here. Coming towards turn 11, excuse me. Now this is where there's going to be crucial braking. We get to see who on exit is the most clean and tidy.
Yeah, it's all about getting a fast run out of here. Europa throwing the move in on Lou. Nicely done. He wants revenge from last time out. We saw Europa making it look, giving Lou a very easy run through Maggots and Beckett's at Silverstone. And now he wants to repay the favor. All these drivers trying to maximize through that hairpin and down this back straight.
Europa is tucking him, but look at this. Here comes South in the Aston Martin. Look at the top end on this car. And he just blows past those 2 Fords.
Nicely done from South. So right back up there onto a podium position. He had a good showing in the first race. And maybe slipped back at the start of this one, but right back in there now. So South could be looking predatorial later on in this second race.
That car, he's making it look easy. It is not an easy car to drive. So South on the charge. Looking ahead just to Lightning. Roadrunner again's liking this. There's battles behind him. He gets to look very, very wide there. You gotta get that car back on track.
If there's one thing we learned from the Season 3 finals, it's that Roadrunner really doesn't need a second invitation. If you let him get ahead, if you let him run away, he will take the race win. So these guys all need to get their heads down and put a challenge on the reigning champion.
Further down this order, this is TX3 Hard BR here in studio, currently in 8th. And he's paired along with the other 3 Aston Martins. South, though, in the Aston Martin, way up in this order. These 3 Aston Martins, different story, though. Vanquish alongside Hard BR, and he's going to make the move on the brakes now into the second lap. And Vanquish moving up this order. Started in 10th, currently in 8th.
The car's fanning out on the front straight there. A little bit of a defensive line as we look back to TX3 Hard BR, who had a hard first race, finished in the last place there, climbed his way up past a few drivers already to 9th position, and will be looking up to make more places. He's got the best game face in Forza as well. Look at the concentration. Great to see.
He's certainly in try-hard mode, is TX3 Hard BR, and he wants to have a better race. We know he's got it in him. This guy was an ARS Racing Championship grand finalist in Season 3.
Absolutely right. We're back to the front, though, here, and it's a good old battle for second place. Lightning leads the way right now in that Forza Edition Ford, and JSR South swinging around behind looking for anything.
How many headlights do you need? I mean, everyone's thinking it right now. How many lights do you need? How many extra horsepower is that?
TX3 Lightning, though, he is the head on this snake, as there's a field of cars behind him. South as well, and the Aston Martins. We have a good mix at the top of this field.
Let's go to Brian Ekberg, who's down on the track.
Boy, we had something at the top of this race, an accident involving multiple cars, and we want to give a little bit of, try to narrate what's happening here. It looked like Box got out of shape there at one point, but it scooped in a couple of other cars. We're going to look at this in slow-mo a couple times, see if we can figure exactly what happened. You can see Box there on the left side of the screen getting out of shape. Now, he still managed to get up to 7th place, but you see one of the trucks getting wide there. I think that's what might have taken out the TX3 Senna there. You can see him sort of hitting the tire wall there. A lot of stuff happening in the back there, and feels like Senna got the worst of it.
Before we went to that replay, I think I saw South get around Lightning. So let's take a look at the top, and he did. It's AMS Roadrunner to JSR South, Lightning in 3rd, and Europa in 4th. So South is taking that Aston Martin up this field.
This oddball race, these cars all thrown together into a hat and shaken up a little bit, is throwing up some incredible different tactics. South in the very, very fast Aston's got all that straight line. He's got himself into 2nd place and might be able to push a challenge here on Roadrunner if he can just break a gap to Lightning in 3rd.
Oh, I bet JSR South wants this race to end right here on lap number 2, because he's already made the toughest pass of the night, passing TX3 Lightning. But it's not. He's got 3 more laps to do it. Lap 3 of 6. Now again, turn number 1, heavy braking uphill. And a crucial here, good exit, because now you're headed into that very complex and difficult section, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and you get it wrong here in these initial turns, and it can really influence the rest of this complex, 6, 7, 8, 9. So you want to get a good line here in turn 3 and 4. Yeah,
COTA, when it was designed, this section was designed to emulate Maggots and Beckett's at Silverstone, so the track we were just at, and it's this decreasing speed, left, right. It's grueling when you race it. But so satisfying when you hook up the apexes.
South really yet to pull away further down this order. This is TPR Box, a rough race in race number 1. And here he is down that order, currently in 9th, looking ahead to TX3, Hard BR, and Vanquish. And those all 3 Aston Martins paired up here.
That's what the damage looks like when a truck comes over the back of your bumper there. But you have scrapes all the way up onto the bonnet. That's bad.
Yeah, just using the back of that Aston as a little ramp there. You know, I'm worried. Like with Box, I don't want this fun team event to hurt his individual momentum coming into the playoffs. If I was Box, I almost wouldn't have come out racing today. You know, just keep the mindset, keep yourself zoned for the playoffs, because this is somebody who's been just on such a positive run throughout Series 1. I'd hate to see that end here.
Well, it's worth noting, I mean, this is an exhibition, right? We're just having some fun with some team races. I know these guys are taking it much more seriously than that, as we have a bit of a collision.
Oh, Hard BR takes full advantage of a incident between more than one driver there. It looked like someone just outbroke themselves and just lost control of that car. That could be one of the Aston Martins, I believe, hitting Vanquish, I believe. So Hard BR takes advantage of that, moves up a few spots, gets some valuable points.
As you say, one person's loss is always another's gain in racing, and I think we're about to see some more losses here as we ride on board with JSR Hysterical. Looking forward at a hysterical fight. The 6th position up ahead.
Breaker 1-9er. That's what I'm expecting to see from this angle.
I love this camera, though. It kind of floats above the track. You know, you see how high this car is.
This is Box, though. He gets squeezed out from Veeps. And he wants that spot back from Vanquish as well. This is Box in 9th, Veeps in 10th, Hysterical in 11th, and then Senna back there in 13th. But right now, look at, here comes a truck. And Veeps doesn't like this. He's holding that throttle as hard as he can, but he can't help it.
at
Look at
that.
this, up tilt, turn one, box on the inside. You don't want to be on the inside of a truck, my goodness.
They're teammates as well. Box and Beta are teammates, not acting like it at all on the home straight. They're just bouncing off each other. Sparks flying, and they're still side by side as we head through this twisting section.
Box nowhere to go. He just simply has to take that Aston Martin off track. So difficult. I mean, the truck looks like it's got pretty decent grip here, but the Aston Martin certainly is a tricky car to drive, and we see Box, one of the best Forza racing drivers in the world. Even he's having a little bit of trouble.
And part of the reason the Aston is a hard car to drive is to do with the slip angle of the car. So where is the car positioned as you go through the apex of a corner? It's very, very aggressive in older race cars. They really slide and lean in. And it's something that's very hard to handle, especially if you're new to Forza.
We ride aboard JSR Veeps now, looking ahead to Box and Beater. And you got to think right here, you know the Aston Martin's got the legs. Does it got the legs around the truck? I think he's going to pull away from Veeps in this Ford, though.
Watch Box now, though. He's getting the throttle down. That Aston has more pace than anything else in this straight. So as we get to the end of it, as the top end starts to limit the car in front, he is going to slip on by. Bam!
Job done. Tick that box. Beater, though, under brakes now, into the hairpin on the exit, and just make that truck as wide as you possibly can. Make it as very difficult as you possibly can to don't allow Box to get through.
You know,
Good job.
I'm calling it right now. Beta can be as much of like a revelation to competitive Forza as he likes, but he is an awful teammate. Let Box through. He's faster. You're both on the same team. He might score some points. Stop holding him back, Beta. What are you doing?
Oh, don't count out Beater, though. Look at this. I mean, he's putting him over his face.
He's not going anywhere. He's just holding back his teammate.
Lap 4 of 6, and it's still unchanged up at the top. AMS Roadrunner, your leader. And remember, he's in the truck, the racing truck.
He is, and great job from Roadrunner. I love to see a truck succeeding. Hysterical there, sliding around a little bit, maybe about to lose a position to JSR Veeps, who gets it a little bit deep in the final corner. Yeah, these two are swapping places all over the place. But Roadrunner, like you say, doing a great job, leading from the front, holding this place with that massive, massive truck.
Well, you can just really see the difference on exit for these trucks versus this Ford. This Ford, they have to find the right place. Where is this car strong when compared to the truck? It's not on the straights.
It's built to rally. It's not really built to be out there. And it's kind of like something's really out of sorts there when you look at that. And when you talk about the truck, plus 700 horsepower, plus 10,000 pounds, just something you don't want to mess with. You don't want to get side by side.
But these cars, they are getting side by side. It's a school dance between an Aston Martin and a Mercedes truck, or what do you call it, lorries? Is that what you call them, lorries?
Lorries? Yeah, we'll go there, yeah. Yeah, I like that. It's the lorry racing. TPR Lou, we're back on board with him. We talked about how great he did in race number 1, leading the way for Total Performance Racing in race number 2, this oddball race that we're seeing. And he's in 5th, about to move up to 4th. So Lou, another great performance.
Yeah, but not the top. In the fastest Ford, that belongs to TX3 Lightning in the fastest Ford. But the battle right here, AMS versus TPR, lap 5 of 6 on the back straight. Get tucked in behind and see if you can get advantage of that. He doesn't want to, though. I think he likes being mid-track right now, just sizing up Europa.
You know, being the fastest Ford is relevant because in this team competition, we've got an extra few points for the person who wins in their class of car. So you want to be up there. You want to be the leader in your class if you possibly can.
Europa barely hanging on to this 4th spot. He's got Lou right side by side. Now we're having a very difficult, complex 14, 15, and 16. This is an unnatural turn. It's just something that doesn't feel right when driving this car on that turn. But look at this. Here comes Hard BR on the charge. I think he's going to catch these guys. He's still got plenty of time to do it, too.
I'm glad we're on board with Hard BR. This is what we've all been waiting for, in a sense. A moment to see how Hard BR reacts around other cars. What kind of a racer is he? And stay on board as he hunts Lou and Europa and starts to search for his way by. Neither of those guys up ahead of teammates. He doesn't need to hold any punches.
Hard BR's compass points north now, onto the front straight. And this is where we see legs for the final time. Lap 6 of 6 here, folks.
Aston opening up on the front straight there. He's going to absolutely whip past Europa and might even have a run on Lou into turn number 1. If he can get past them before the corners, before the twisty section, he might be able to hold them back all the way through this final lap.
Job done. Makes it look easy, but it's not. I mean, that was just simply throttling. Here comes Vanquish now. Where did he come from? Vanquish now into 6th. He's inserted himself in the middle of this battle between TPR Lou and the Ford.
Well, once you create that contact there, you lose so much momentum. Very easy for Vanquish to come on the outside. Easy pickings.
Final lap, 6 of 6. Vanquish is going to lose the rear end. It's going to cost him, though. Europa's there as well, so Europa's going to take advantage. I think he's got the move around him. So Europa's made the move into 6th around his teammate Vanquish. Europa wants to get back up to Lou, doesn't he? You can just see it.
He does. Europa wants it. And up ahead, though, still Roadrunner leading the way. JSR South in 2nd now. So South performing better in the second race than the first one. Can he win a race here in the last one? I'm going to be fascinated to watch that. It's hard BR as well. He slipped on through, made it look super easy. I almost wish Europa and Lou had more of a challenge for him.
Vanquish gives his teammate a bump. You thought he would go right around him. He's got car's gut legs. We know it. But he gives his teammate a bump. Is this team tactics here? Headed into the heavy braking zone of turn number 12. Oh, and Europa's deep. And a touch onto Lou. So Lou here now up in front of Europa.
The AMS boys getting tangled up there on the back straight, and that is just helping TPR Lou out. He's going to be able to hold them both behind him if he can hold it out on this last sector of the track. So Europa is going to have to find a way through with very few corners remaining.
Very few corners remaining indeed. What a battle here in the middle of the pack. TPR Lou up in front, just you can see them there on your screen. Behind him is AMS Europa. In the battle for this Ford Cosworth, they both want that 6th spot. The fastest Ford, though, that belongs to TX3 Lightning. This is AMS Roadrunner, and he's going to cross your finish line. Race number 2, back-to-back wins for AMS, the Alien Motorsport and Forza RC Season 3 champion.
Once again, though, where are Roadrunner's teammates? They're back getting tangled up with each other, 6th and 7th.
This is it, though. Does the Aston Martin have it? And it doesn't look like it's going to be Europa holding off his teammate. Lou, with a good job again, finishes in 5th place.
But, you know, if you got Roadrunner up there, if you can hold on to 20 points, 6th and 7th is not terrible. I know it's not ideal.
It's not bad.
But
First,
not bad.
6th and 7th.
I mean, I think at first we got to say, what a dominating race by Roadrunner. Smart to take the truck and then just blast your way out. Huge start. It's got all that horsepower. And if you don't have anybody trying to negotiate themselves around you, it really turns into kind of an easy race out there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm fascinated to know with Roadrunner, and, you know, hopefully it's something that maybe he can answer in the chat or we can find out, is did he choose the truck before he knew he was going to be on pole? Or did he last minute go, you know what, guys?
Give me the truck. I'm
taking
up front.
the truck. Give me the truck. I'm going to run this. You know, I want to take it.
He didn't look back. I mean, he got on the throttle, first on his toes, and he just raced the track in front of him. While everyone else had to race each other, he raced the racetrack.
Well, we had a tremendous race number 2 earlier today. Be honest with you, a little bit disappointed that we didn't see more bumping and grinding here in our evening session. Couldn't have been the Challenger, right? Because the Challenger was, although Lightning won the whole thing with it, it was kind of a non-factor in our earlier races today. So I don't get it.
Yeah, I mean, the first race we saw was very much that sort of story of the heavyweight and the flyweight, right? You know, the cars leaning on each other, basically the same speed around the track, but a very different style of racing on the very light Aston Martin compared to the very weighty racing truck. This time around, everyone a little bit more polite, looking a little bit more practiced maybe on the track.
Yeah, sure. I mean, yeah, generally I would agree, but there were some touches. I think the adjudication process. They're going to look for a few things. I saw a few things, particularly on exits, like turn number 11, that was headed into the slowest part of the track, that hairpin, and then that long straight turn number 12 there. We saw some touches there as well. So there could be something they want to look at. But what a combination with a truck, an Aston Martin, and a rally car in the Ford Cosworth.
Well, it's interesting. He was in the truck, AMS Roadrunner. He did put some comments out there for us. He said, I don't think I can see anything. I might have cut out there, but I'm sitting so high, I have no idea if I cut the track or not. I don't know if the adjudicators are going to take to some preemptive apologizing. We'll see how that goes. Let's take a look at the provisional results here of race number 2. Roadrunner on top. South Surprise, surprise, he's second. Lightning in third, Hard BR in fourth. Much better showing out of him. And then you saw the battle right there in the middle between Lou, Europa, Vanquished, and then Beater. And that truck just absolutely causing mayhem for Box.
Lou, another great performance. So, you know, this guy coming out, dominating from almost nowhere. You know, a strong driver back in the day. So, as well as that, though, JSR South, somebody who's been doing great, and a strong community driver as well.
Yeah, he's got races in leagues. He doesn't, any opportunity for him to race, he's going to go ahead and do it, JSR South. But how about this? TPR Lou finishes ahead of his teammate, TPR Box, the 6th-ranked driver, headed into the global standings twice in 2 races.
Pretty good. Another comment coming in from Roadrunner. You asked, and you will receive. He says, we chose the truck because of the offline speed, and that was worth that extra few seconds on the start. Was him just blasting away from the pack, ran off and hid it early.
I love that. I love the amount of insight he gives into the strategy there, because he says it required Lightning to go in the escort to make sure that if he has the lead, then he could make a challenge later on. So that's interesting. That's cool stuff to hear. So an off-the-cuff decision there from Roadrunner.
Well, we saw how powerful the truck was, surprisingly so, earlier today. I don't know if that happened to lead in a Roadrunner's decision of, hey, this thing's not bad. If I start up front, there's a possibility that I might have 0 challenge from Lightning. That was the case. Lightning actually dropped back to 3rd, lost a spot in there. We'll see what happens with the final results, but thus far, great strategy by MS.
Yeah, strategy, right? Strategy into what we thought would just be here for some fun racing. But there was certainly some strategy. These guys are all here. They want to win. And no one wants to finish last, right? No one wants to. They want to race. They race to win. No one races to be finished at the back of the pack.
I mean, I'm not trying to say that because of what I said about Hard BR, he gained 7 spots there. I'm not trying to take full credit for it. No, I take 0 credit for it. That guy is super fast. But this time didn't have anything happen to him. It was a clean race for him for majority of the part, and you actually saw the speed of the man from Brazil.
Incredible. He's known as a hot lapper, so he's this driver who can just throw in a lap time when there's no one else on the track, able to carve those lines. We saw him maybe taking some very easy overtaking moves there in a car with a lot of straight line speed. I would have liked, in a way, to have seen him get a little bit more wheel-to-wheel, a little bit more argy-bargy, and have to fight for his positions rather than just slip on through.
Well, that's what we saw. Let's figure out what Brian saw on the other side. Brian, what's the deal, man?
We saw so much, it was difficult for us to choose exactly what we wanted to use in a replay. We were kind of going back and forth because what we're discovering here, we saw it this morning, we saw it here again. This is 3 fantastic car choices on a track that has a little bit of everything. So these cars have different strengths and weaknesses throughout this track. We're going to look at all of this. The great start coming here, this sharp left-hander, relatively clean around that uphill to downhill left-hander. And then we saw the battle of the escorts here between all of these different these guys driving. We saw a little moment here between Veeps getting into the side of one of those DB1s and Hard BR taking advantage of that moment as well. But really, we saw mid-pack. This was the battle we were talking about. It was Box versus Beater. And we know Box. We know he's an emotional guy. We know that he was I was just sort of imagining myself in his position right now and how frustrated he must have been, because you saw the long straights, he'd get him. But as soon as you made that left-hander off that long straight, here comes the truck. He narrowly misses the tires, but gets out of shape and hits hysterical there. And then the last third of the race, here we are, Escort versus DB1 all over the place, late braking from those guys. Fantastic race from Roadrunner. But boy, Coda delivering this morning and this evening.
Yeah, I mean, interesting enough, you were calling for it. Should a Beater set up for more of a stretch draft and let Box fly by and slingshot him, said, shake and bake, and send him into the corner with some speed.
Beater should have let him through, surely. Box had the pace. Let him go. Let him hunt some more positions.
I kind of disagree, because on the second half of that course, the truck showed this morning, and it showed that it's strong in those. I said it again. I said it this morning. I'll say it again. In the twisty bits, Scott.
That's true. Got to watch for the twisty bits.
I cannot agree. I cannot
agree. We'll settle it later after the show's over.
We'll arm wrestle.
That's right.
Still a good race there. I mean, some teams get the team play, and some are still struggling out there, Brian, to really figure out what their strategy is. And I know it's weird because you don't practice a lot out there with the truck. The truck
right.
and the Aston Martin together. You don't get a lot of laps together with that combo.
It's true. We've been keeping touch on the TX3 guys as well. If we think about the morning results for the TX3 guys, Lightning won that race this morning. He finished unofficially third today. Senna was fifth this morning. Hardbiar was ninth. Today, Hardbiar's got a provisional fourth place. Senna, of course, we saw what happened to him all the way at the back of the pack.
So maybe our TX boys are finally waking up a little bit over here. We've had a great Series 1. We're getting closer to the playoffs. Let's bring you up to date on what happened in North America up to this point. And it's been a good one. Venom, Lightning, Force One, Vanquish, Harmonic, Billy Sue, they all played a big role in North America in Series 1 and are sure to be big players.
They definitely are. It's been Lightning. Just this driver who's able to run from the front, push, great victories, race after race, who's been dominating the leaderboard, certainly in the early parts of the season.
But it has been a mix. Open field, 5 race winners in North America here. We saw Lightning take a race series win. Venom, Vanquish, Force One, and FTR Vane.
And don't forget about that reverse grid. It seemed like every week the reverse grid would come back into play, and Force One was a big part of that. This is a guy that came on late when he actually was able to qualify to the weekend. He looked real strong in week 3 and 4, giving him some momentum heading in to this big-time playoff. And all we know is it's a huge open field out there.
Yeah, such a spread of talent out there in America that the drivers, anyone can win. You can just go out there, fight your place, and anyone can win it. So very very competitive. Watching Vanquish, so that's been distracting me, but very competitive in NA.
Well, we saw some old faces. We saw some new faces. Andy, how about Billy Sue?
You know, we saw him race. We know he's got pace, but we didn't know he had this kind of pace. So TX3 Billy Sue, certainly a driver to look out for further on to the Racing Championship.
Well, we saw all kind of racing. We saw clean racing. We saw amazing overtakes. But the one thing we found in North America, aggressive driving. We saw a lot of guys not giving up any positions. If you try to go by them, it was going to turn into some carnage, some for the good, some for the bad.
15 penalties handed out in NA. That's a record. Absolutely, yeah, tough stuff.
If there was 15 penalties, 14 of those were from McQueen.
Yeah, I mean, that guy, he likes to throw his shoulders out. You know, if you don't get a yellow card, you're not racing hard enough.
I think that's soccer terminology. I don't think that's racing
I don't know what
terminology.
soccer is. I've never heard of soccer. I don't know what you mean.
Let's go back over to Bravo, who's hanging out with Lightning.
All right, guys, thanks. Down here on the floor with Lightning. Lightning, before we get into North America Series 1, talk to me about that race number 2. Right before you guys got in, you were looking at me, you were saying, don't expect the same type of thing. You're in the Escort RS Cosworth. Do you feel like you did the most you could with the car?
I literally was just ragging the car every corner, every chance I had. I was absolutely pushing to the limits, and I was still a second off of what everybody else could do.
Yeah, I know you're able to hold second for 2.5 laps or so, eventually held third for the whole race. Hardbiar able to also move from 8th to 4th, so you guys take 3-4 in that race. But let's talk about this series so far. One of the biggest things we didn't get to talk about in the earlier show that a lot of people might be familiar with is how big family support is for you. Every time you're racing, you know your family's back home watching. What does that mean to you as a driver?
With all the support, it just helps me focus on it and do better, since they're supporting me and they want me to do it and they want me to do good. So, you know, if I'm not podium, they're going to be kind of mad at me when I go home.
Well, there's a reason you podiumed every time, right? I mean,
yeah,
so
I have the support.
You got, and also not only support, but expectations, right? You kind of got a podium here at the Series 1 finals as well. Talk to me about how you look at Series 1 online. You and I talked about earlier, right? When people think of the name Lightning, they expect to see you higher than 7th, right? And I think you probably expect that of yourself as well. Do you put online in the rearview mirror, or do you go back and do you watch those races to see what went wrong?
I've watched all the Wednesday races back. I just love watching them. But, yeah, I'll look back sometimes, but see what I could do better and see what I could change. Started with the penalties in the beginning. It kind of messed me up and got my mind in the wrong place. So I fixed that halfway through. And then, you know, I'm ready for next series already.
Excellent. One other thing we didn't get to cover on the earlier show, your ability to work your way through a reverse grid is possibly the best in all of Forza RC, going from 12th to 1st, not just once, but twice, I believe. How do you navigate the field better than anyone else in those reverse grids?
I kind of have the eyes for it. I kind of know. I watch the patterns of everyone and know what they're going to do in certain corners. And when you know people like that, you just know when there's going to be an opening and when there's not.
Sure.
So you just take the opening when it gets given to you.
Excellent. All right, we're excited to see you in race number 3. Of course, excited to see you in the playoffs as well. Best of luck in this this race coming up. Guys, back over to you.
Appreciate it, Bravo. Bravo blessing us with his presence today. Doing a great job hosting and interviewing. And Lightning just has that mentality, you know, that I'm going to say killer mentality, but he does. I mean, anything less than first is a failure for him.
You know, Lightning is one of these guys who comes from a racing background that's, you know, it's very homegrown. It's all about, you know, building it from the ground up. And I think that spills out into how he races as well. He doesn't kind of mind so much about the marshals. He doesn't bother about what they think. It's about what he thinks. It's about whether his moves sit well with him, not with the authorities.
I like what he said there. I have the eyes for it.
Great.
How many other guys say that? You know what I mean? He can see a track, and they see more than just an opportunity. They see their opponents like a book. He can read it.
The eye of the tiger, Rock. You got to give it to him. We got a real treat in race 3. You might have saw it earlier today. Picks and bans. We saw which way they went this morning. Let's see if we have a trend here this evening, or if we get a little bit different here. Each of these teams are going to pick one thing to ban. We have cars, we have tracks, then we'll go back to the car. The Beetle and the Falcon, they got knocked out earlier, and we got stuck with Hockenheim.
Yeah.
Bathurst for the win. I'm okay with Suzuka. I know it's wet, and he'll probably get banned just because no one wants to be on Suzuka in the wet, especially if you're voting. Okay,
Yeah,
all right, okay. All right, I get it.
We hear you.
So TX3. And let's be honest, Lightning does, even though his name is weather-related, he does not like any sort of precipitation out on the track. Following suit, JSR again, their B team banned this Falcon earlier, and they do again.
Yeah, if TPR do a repeat,
All right.
I'm out.
Hockenheim.
Yeah, right.
Hockenheim again.
I'm storming out.
Can we get someone else to vote?
Yeah, who are these guys? And then there goes the Volkswagen. So, they loved it. The race so nice, we're going to do it twice.
AMS.
It's going to be the Maserati, the Audi, and the Bimmer.
Well, all we know is, and I'm glad you brought up the BMW, is whoever's in the BMW needs to be your fastest and best driver. Hands down.
You're right. That's the car that's going to win this race. It's the fastest of these 3 around Hockenheim by some distance. You need to have a star in that BMW.
Earlier on today, that BMW finished 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, and it better do it again today.
That Maserati is a boat. It is a big yellow boat around Hockenheim.
It sounds awesome, though. It sounds like thunder. Sounds like Thor's hammer.
Well, we had the final results for race number 2 before we get on to race number 3. Those picks and bans, those are going to be interesting. Roadrunner does hold on. No penalties. South, continuing to rock it out. Lightning there in 3rd. And Hard BR, much better showing. This time avoids the unluckiness that he's seen throughout the day. Finishes 4th.
Good to see. Good to see. These results, it was an interesting race, wasn't it? I'm thinking back to Dakota. I'm already got my mind going forward to Hockenheim.
You're so upset about Bathurst, you can't even focus.
I was thinking about exactly that. And looking at the results. And I was thinking, TPR, you're dead to me. You're dead to me. I want Bathurst.
All right, Andy, what do you think about the final results there?
Well, you know, AMS Roadrunner, back-to-back wins. Can he make it 3 in a row? Now, we'll see. I mean, we'll see
He's
what car
have a long
choice
way
he picks.
to come.
Is he going to pick the BMW and go max points? I'm AMS, and I don't need any calculators, any complicated strategy. I think I would go with BMW.
I don't put Roadrunner in the Maserati. I tell you that. That's the worst decision.
Yeah, he doesn't need to be in the middle of the pack. He needs to be out front. Get in the fastest car.
But he's got to come from 12th.
For me, put Roadrunner in a car that can block. Put him in the Maserati. hold everyone else up, muddle up that pack. If you back your drivers, if you think
but he's starting 12th, so who is he blocking?
Yeah, but if you think you've got the best drivers out there, if every team thinks like, okay, we've got the strongest lineup here, then back that. Back the pack up, roll them all together, and watch your drivers shine. If you don't believe in your drivers, then sure, hop in the fastest car, disappear up the road. I'm calling you out.
Bravo, bring us some insanity to this show. This guy's off his rocker.
Bathurst.
All right, guys, only one race left in today's shows, and let's go ahead and take a look at the track. It's going to be Hockenheim, headed back to Germany. And the desk wasn't too happy about it, but we'll see. Apparently, the teams are at least settling for it here. Of course, this track has changed a lot over the years. 4.57 miles, 2.4 kilometers, 17 turns. Look for that T6 hairpin. And, of course, it gets real tight towards the end of the track as we head in. So big overtaking opportunities early, and when that road gets so narrow, don't expect to see so many opportunities. But let's also take a look at the three cars. It's the same bands and the same picks here, so you're going to see the same three cars that we saw earlier today. First is that 1986 number 2 Audi Sport Quattro S1. It's a Group B rally car. Really, the Quattro, the flag bearer of Audi's legendary four-wheel drive technology, also so dominant that it was banned, as many of you will know, in so many different series. Also, next up, the Maserati Swiss team Trofeo, part of that single-make Trofeo Maserati series, 488 horses in there. And then lastly, the car that, like the desk was saying, we're going to expect to see a lot of superstars in. Teams are going to put their fastest driver in here. It's the lightest car of the group, and this car went on to win more than 100 races throughout its career in several different categories. So look to see some really great stuff out of that vehicle. Gentlemen?
I'll be obviously, Bravo. I had sleeped hard on that BMW. You just look at it and you're like, yeah, come on.
Yeah.
How good can that thing be?
I know, right? It looks like a little box. Its wheels are kind of all contained like a soap car, you know, like right in the center of it. But it's absolutely got this incredibly potent engine in it. This turbo that will just fly if you go past 5,000.
We saw it earlier on today. We know it's fast. 39 years separate the BMW and that Maserati. The BMW was built in 1975, and that Maserati in 2014. But clearly, technology means nothing because that BMW is fast.
Well, we have no crashing pace cars out there, so we're ready for race number 3. Let's take a look at the grid and mention it's going to be a reverse grid. So Roadrunner all the way in the back, so it's going to have Sienna, Beater, Hysterical. They are up front. Box right there in the middle with Hard BR at 6 and 7. That's a battle we're going to have to watch out for. But can Roadrunner, can Lightning? Bravo mentioned how good Lightning is at battling from the back of the pack to the front. But if Lightning and Roadrunner aren't in the BMW, forget about it.
Gosh, you know, we're talking about strategy before this, talking about Roadrunner on pole and what he's going to choose. Of course, it's the reverse grid here in the final race.
Do you not even listen to the words I say?
I listen to nothing.
You hear Bathurst.
Exactly, that's all I hear. So flipping it over, that changes everything. Let's find out. Here we go.
That's what I told you. Who is he blocking? We're all green, Andy.
Hockenheim, the site for our third race, and we are off. And look at this, Roadrunner on the charge, already up into 8th from 12th, 4 spots after 1 turn. Roadrunner, unbelievable. Now sizing up TPR Lou. Look at this field, 3 wide as we approach turn number 2.
Yeah, Roadrunner choosing the Audi here, so all that acceleration that you get from that 4-wheel drive doing him great guns off the start of this race. And look at that already, passing his way up into 4th position. Great stuff from the reigning champion.
Look at this, I can't even count. This is the entire field as we're going through Parabolica into the hairpin, turn number 6, the fastest part of this track. My goodness, something's going to happen here. There's just no room.
5 wide.
Pray for Beater. Pray for Beater right now.
5 wide and Box sending it up the inside. Roadrunner's going to snatch that back and lose the rear out of the hairpin. Massive spin.
Roadrunner, there's still plenty of race though, still plenty of race. So back now into 12th, where he started this, he went through half that field in less than half this track. Can he do it again?
I was waiting for our sound guy to play sad tuba at that point.
Roadrunner losing out massively there.
This is JSR Beeps in that Audi. And he's got himself a little bit of a gap here. He's currently in 3rd, looking ahead to Vanquish and Senna. So that is where happened to Beater. So Beater's dropped down this order because he started this race in 2nd.
They call it an Audi because Roadrunner is Audi the race.
Yeah, how long did he spend looking at that one? He's had that on his sleeve since like 2 p.m.
Lightning, though. We talked about Roadrunner moving up this order. How about TX3 Lightning in 4th position? He started this race in 10th, and you can see that concentration. He's hunting. He is a hungry dog. Is TX3 Lightning through Nord Curve?
Yeah, he's in that BMW, the fastest car at this track. We're going to see him be able to extend all of that speed as we head through turn 2 now and onto the massive straight. That's a very, very slight left-hander called Parabolica.
So TX3 Lightning putting in work for his TX3 team, but don't count out TPR Box. He's also in that same BMW behind him, so these guys got to train up that field. We get someone in the pits. This is Roadrunner. He's pulled off that Audi into the pits, probably taking damage there after they were approaching hairpin. So after the hairpin, so Roadrunner not be able to continue that race in that car in that current condition.
You head into the dealership, you get the oil change, some popcorn, maybe a fresh coffee, get yourself back on the track, nearly a lap down.
You see, if I was Roadrunner, I'd wish I could just get out of that Audi and walk out into the paddock. Tough old race here, race number 3 for AMS Roadrunner. He was looking so strong off the start.
Surprising not to see him in the BMW, though.
Right.
I mean, Vanquish is up front, so you can't besmirch him that much. It's now up to Vanquish to really do it for his boys.
He has to hold the flag here.
This is TX3 Lightning coming through Sox, turn number 12. And on lap 2, so plenty of racing left to go. Lightning needs to be patient. There'll be opportunities for him to get this BMW around. He just needs to pick his right spot and do it right because Box is there as well.
Just the second lap. Feels like we've been really racing this one for a while now.
Look at this, Veeps looking dangerous now. This is the start finish now. Nord Curve, really only one line through. Veeps has got to slide in, and he does. Those cars, they're on 2 wheels going through Nord Curve. Very, very tricky, but look, Veeps has got speed. This is Lightning now. Veeps alongside. Lightning's going to go in the middle. Lightning's going to slide in the middle. Heavy on the brakes. He's gone deep. He's gone deep for sure.
Way too late on the brakes for Lightning. It was a brave move, and you got to condone it. You got to say, you know, nice one for trying it, but at the same time, losing himself a bit of track there and falling back into the pack behind.
Yeah, you're focusing on those 2 cars. Miss your brake line. It's easy to power through.
So up front here, it is still ever so close. Now Box is in front of Lightning now. So Box is now, he's got the opportunity to make this move now. Can Box get around the pair of Veeps and Senna? We got another BMW there as well.
I tell you what, Andy, when you see them moving around like that, snaking in the braking zone, it just gives you cause to butt clench slightly because there's nowhere to go if you haven't got the brake performance.
That third BMW is JSR South, and look at this. 3 BMWs all within one screen. Senna gets a little naughty there onto the grass, not his fault, not much room. So Lightning's gonna have to go wide. He's gonna, here comes South. South's got past Senna.
Yeah, South on the outside of Mobile 1. That's not where you want to be. There's gravel on the outside here. Senna being very well behaved there, leaving plenty of racing room. That is absolutely brilliant racing from the 2 of those drivers.
Got to watch out for the triple threat here in Germany. Box is German. We're on a German race circuit, and he's in a German car.
Yeah, he's liking this combination. Certainly his best performance of the night, TPR Box. Currently in 2nd place coming around Suit Curve now. On the throttle as fast as you can. You want to straighten out this upcoming turn, that turn being Nord Curve, turn number 1. Make it as straight as possible. Get out far left and flat out.
That's so aggressive, all of these drivers on the inside curb, on the outside curb there. We all know in Forza you can run a little bit of an aggressive line on the way out of Nord Curve, and these drivers being relatively well behaved today.
But where is our leader, AMS Vanquish, doing a fantastic job, unmentioned so far really, and he's leading this pack here. On screen we're looking at, there he is, flies by there on Parabolica, coming down to the hairpin, turn number 6, and he's your leader, and guess what? He's in a BMW, folks. So this is the combination the Alien Motorsport team wanted. We thought it was going to be Roadrunner. It's Vanquish doing the job.
Vanquish running away with it there. It's great to see because he's got strong momentum coming out of Series 1 and heading towards the playoffs. So Vanquish, if he can pick up a win here, will be in high spirits indeed as we head on to the individual competition in just a few days' time.
Further down this order, right now we ride aboard TX3 Hard VR right here in studio, looking ahead to JSR Veeps and JSR South, so 2 JSR drivers in front of him, coming around, approaching turn number 11 this is, and that's Mobile 1. This one you gotta be really brave through, don't you, Dowie?
Yeah, you got to be super brave, take as much curb on the inside as you can, just power out, look at how much of the outside rumble strip that HardBR was using there. It's every inch of it that you use, you get extra speed, but you come closer and closer to that gravel. If you even clip it a tiny bit, you're going to rub off a whole load of that speed.
I just think if the Maserati wing was just a little bit bigger, if you could make that thing just a little bigger, I think you'd finally have it.
It's a big old wing. It's a big.
Lap 5 of 8. Vanquish still leading this race in that BMW. He's got 2 BMWs behind him in the form of Lightning and Box. And I believe that order is Vanquish, Box, Lightning.
Well, you're going to find out how fast Vanquish really is because you have both Box and Lightning behind him in the same car. That BMW that we talked about, that was going to be the difference. You're about to find out what Vanquish really has in that clean air 4 seconds ahead.
Here comes JSR South, the last of that BMWs as well. So we got all 4 BMWs up at the front of this field. What a treat. You know, setting up for a perfect final 3 laps. This is JSR Veeps in the Audi, and your top Audi here. So what about HardBR here? There's no other. He's racing. There's BMWs in front of him. That's fine. There's one Audi in front of him. He's the fastest Maserati.
You want to be best of the rest, don't you? That's what they're fighting for here. HardBR squabbling away with JSR Veeps. Different cars, but both of them very, very well matched around this Hockenheim circuit. Yeah, 5th position will feel like a win for HardBR if he can make it happen.
Pat on the back so far for the TX3 driver in HardBR, and our #1 global ranked driver coming into today. And certainly he's going to be liking that. Now, lap number 5 into Sox. Certainly a corner with a lot of banking that helps out that Maserati and that big old wing on the back of it. Nice and easy onto those exit curves. Got to be, they're real generous to you, but here, awfully tricky this turn here, isn't it?
Yeah, the long right-hander at the end of this track is it's a real thumb burner. You know, you want to lean your steering angle in as you come through it. I just find, you know, I kind of squeeze the controller of high pressure as I do it. By the end of that corner, my left hand is exhausted.
But main man Brian Eckberg, he's down on the track. What do you see, my man?
Yeah, very quickly. I just wanted to talk about lap times very quickly. We see the Vanquish pulling out there. He's got a 43.5. He's got the fastest lap of the race. Box last lap ran a 43.8. Lightning a 44.1. So 0.6 between first and third right now.
Good stuff out there, Brian. And so Vanquish running pretty fast. The question is can he hold on these final 3 laps?
Here we go, lap number 6, and we saw HardBR almost get a great exit, but he's side by side of that Audi of JSR Veeps on the inside, and that's where you want to be, right, Ali?
Yeah, throw it up the inside. That Audi looks like it's a little bit lighter. The Maserati is a very heavy car indeed, able to accelerate faster, able to brake a bit faster, and that's why you're seeing Veeps holding that 5th position from the world #1 ranked Forza driver who cannot get past him.
If I'm HardBR, though, I've seen my place where I can possibly set it up, and that's coming out of turn number 2. So he gave it a test, see it's possible, and it certainly can. So he's got 2 more chances to do it here. But here, look at the strength of this Maserati now, coming out of Mobile 1.
It's never going to happen. He's going to scrub that front tire. Just can't hold the mid-corner speed that Veeps can. What HardBR needs to do here is block pass. Throw it up the inside and just stick the front of his car in front of Veeps's and just block him from accelerating out the corner. They're running the same pace, but HardBR cannot get through.
Audi versus Maserati in the form of JSR versus TX3. Coming around now, about to start lap number 7 here. And what a job by JSR Veeps. He's holding off the #1 driver here. He's got a Maserati all over his rear view mirror.
Great sounding car. It's a cool battle that we're seeing here, and one that's very, very typical of Forza Motorsport, if you like. You get, you know, an old 4-wheel drive Audi versus a brand new Maserati, and they're matching each other on pace. Super fun to watch. I love this kind of stuff.
We didn't see this dynamic earlier on today in the Audi versus the Maserati, but we're getting a great treat here. Those BMWs long gone 1 through 4, and here it is. We saw it last lap, and here he comes again. This is HardBR. He's gutting around in front, get that Maserati in front, and he can't do it. Veeps now on the inside. Are they going to swap positions one more time on exit? Who's got the better launch? Look at HardBR stressing there. He wants this position, but Veeps has got that Audi.
You've got to be more aggressive than that, HardBR. Throw the line across him under braking. block his car. Don't open the line for Veeps because he'll be past you before you know it. You have to get the rear of your car parked in front of the nose of his.
He's tried it twice. Will he try it one more time on lap number 8? A few more opportunities. He's running out of time to do it. Look at it. We saw this last time.
Another floppy move on Mobile 1, and it's just going to lose him time because Veeps has his number every day of the week through there.
Boy, he's trying it, though. He feels he can do it here. He feels he can do it everywhere, really, but RBR's off. He's going to lose time there. He's almost lost the back. He had to lift off that throttle now. And he can't. He needs to set this up here, coming out of Sud curve, flatten it out in Nord curve.
There's nowhere to take it. There's nowhere to take it, Andy. If he sets it up here, he's going to have to try and make the move on turn 1. Hold back here. Hold back to turn 2. Make it happen on the straight. Once again, all you need to do is curve across him under braking. Block Veeps out. Take the little bump that Veeps will give you, but just deal with that and stay in front.
This is the battle for 5th place. Audi versus Maserati. This is JSR Veeps, and we currently riding aboard the #1 ranked driver in the world in TX3 RBR right here in studio in Seattle. And this is where we saw it trying him the last 2 laps. It looks like too much real estate though here. And this is surely going to be JSR Veeps. I don't think that Maserati's got it. Prove me wrong though.
Veeps with a defensive line. RBR wants to turn across his nose, but no chance of that happening this time. Another undercut, but I think that Audi's got the acceleration.
I think he just showed his hand too many times. Try it once, do it the second time. Bang, you got to make the move and make it stick. RBR just couldn't get that Maserati around and under brakes. So, beautiful job. I appreciate him trying over and over again and giving that Maserati as much as he possibly can. So if anyone's going to make a move, RBR is the guy to do it. He couldn't do it.
You know what? Like, this is our first time really seeing RBR in a combative race situation, and I've got to say, he's going to have to be more inventive than that if he wants to make it happen at the playoff.
Had his chance to set it up for a block, didn't run the right line, and it's going to cost some points. It may be momentum,
AMS Vanquish takes the race win, and that's 3 wins in a row for the Alien Motorsport team. How about that in the BMW, and your fastest driver here as well. AMS Vanquish ahead of TPR Box, his best performance of the night. TX3 Lightning takes him 3rd. South crosses the line in 4th. Veeps holds off RBR for 6th. And here comes TX3 Senna in 7th position. Those BMWs were fast, but how about the battle? Right there.
Incredible fight. And Veeps, we've got to just congratulate the guy. We haven't seen him out racing much this year. Cap. Yeah, tip of the cap to you, sir, because what a defensive drive.
Let him by once, but the remainder, once he retaken that spot on that line, just was not going to give it away to RBR.
Also something we saw earlier on in that race, TX3 Lightning get really brave heading into turn 2, right? Remember, he split those 2 drivers and go late on the brakes, and he tried it. RBR didn't try it, in my opinion. He didn't try the brave move. But was it the Maserati that was holding him back?
Yeah, I mean, it didn't make it easy for him, did it? But I think it was that penultimate lap. He had one real opportunity there. End of the back straight, of the front straight. He could have curved across Veeps, covered him off on the way into the hairpin. I mean, it's easy for us to sit here and talk about it as well. I've got to clear that up. It's easy for me to sit here and go, question is, this is what you should have done. They're way, way fast, these drivers.
Even if he shuts him off there, do you think he holds him off the remainder of the race?
That's a
because that Audi coming out of those corners, you saw it off the line for AMS Roadrunner. I mean, it can really power out of the corners with a quickness.
He wasn't driving a Mercedes truck, so it wasn't going to get around him very easily. So, great race there in race number. Oh, we're just racing for fun tonight. I don't know. That looks like there was some pretty competitive racing between these guys.
Well, race 3 is in the books. We're going to figure out what those results are going to be. So right now we're in the adjudication process, but let's take a look back again at the provisional results as our eyes saw them cross the line. It was Vanquish well out in front, Box 2nd, Lightning 3rd, South 4th, each of the 4 teams being represented in the top 4.
Great to see Vanquish and Box both taking good results from the end of tonight. They're 2 drivers I'm fascinated to see at the playoffs coming up, and I don't want this team event, this fun event, to hurt their momentum. So I'm glad to see them both coming out, heads held high, shoulders down, relaxed and confident.
You had Roadrunner get back-to-back 20-point performances in race 1 and 2. Him going for the gusto, falling all the way back to 12th, will that be enough to bury his team perhaps in second place?
Vanquish helped him out, though.
You know what? Roadrunner's done enough tonight. He's won 2 races. Like, he's done enough. He's loaded his suitcase full of points, and he's brought them home for his team. He didn't need to get a great finish in race number 3.
He was sitting in 6th place.
Exactly.
He just needed to hold it. He couldn't, and then he made a pit stop. Kind of like me on a trip. I have to pull off many times. We have some amazing events going on. If this is wetting your whistle, you want to get out there and maybe do some racing tonight. We're going to have a Bounty Hunter Series with our very own John Hinhall. And he's actually got some stick. This guy can actually make it work. Racing's in this kid's blood.
You know, he knows his way around the Circuit de la South. You wouldn't believe it, right? I mean, I don't know if he's been there in his life before.
He's like, back in my day.
Exactly. There weren't chicanes here. Yeah. But he's going to be out there racing around that track. He's super fast in Forza. I've seen him race a bunch of times.
I mean, he is all in. I mean, he came here and got a taste in the Invitational. We can't get rid of him, in fact. And now he's in the game doing some racing, some great rewards out there for you able to get. I might be able to actually beat him. Faust, I did not do well.
You got this, Scott. You got this. Come on, I believe in you. Just get the time in. You got to sweat it a little bit because you know that John's going to be sweating it. You know he's going to try.
Sure. I'd have to be home, first of all. I haven't found myself home a lot to be able to get on the old Xbox. Let's go back over to Brian with a recap of race number 3.
Well, we'd be foolish in talking about this race if we didn't focus on Roadrunner. But before we get to his sort of rags to riches, back to rags story, I want to talk a little bit about car choice at the top of the race. Because if you notice, Roadrunner was in the S1 all the way in the back of the pack. Great choice to start off all-wheel drive car, get a lot of positions at the start of the race, but he also gave the CSL the quote-unquote strongest car for Hockenheim to his teammate Vanquish. So a little bit of team play. They were thinking about how this race might wind up and thinking about that car selection as well. So let's take a look at Roadrunner, and we can look at the start. You can see him right off the line, just amazing in that S1, making up so many positions. 8th place right at the start into the first turn, essentially. And we thought, look at him, 4 wide. He's going to make something happen here. All these cars on the left at the hairpin. Roadrunner's already spinning his tires. He goes around the hairpin here, but he can't make a stick. Makes a little bit of contact with Box there, and then Sim twitches himself out, gets some contact from one of the Maseratis, and that's what killed his race. So you guys saw it. We talked about it. Roadrunner, I think he was really trying to make something happen with that car choice, both helping his teammate and also starting strong from the back position. Into this race, we saw this Maserati versus Audi S1, the hard BR versus Veeps battle just going back and forth. We were talking in the back, just yelling at the hairpin. Every time they went around, we saw this underneath move from hard BR, but Veeps just made it stick. A fantastic battle. But in the end, this CSL has dominated Hockenheim and the top 4 cars, the BMW CSL.
I'm just going to say it once. The CSL might not have dominated Bathurst.
Say no more.
Well, we've already heard from AMS Roadrunner a ton tonight, and once again he chimes in saying, "Beater, weaving side to side, hashtag annoying." Sorry, man. You had a good view from it from the back. That's all I can tell you. All the way back in 12th.
The old hashtag annoying. Sure. Is that trending?
Well, you know, when you're 4 wide, something's always going to happen when you're 4 wide.
Yeah, wild. I'm surprised it took that long to have contact. You knew someone was gonna lose it there, and it just unfortunately happened to be Roadrunner that took the most of that. We've been celebrating Series 1 as we were just 10 days away from the playoffs. We showed you early how it got done in North America. Now let's take you over to Europe and show you some of the racing that was dominated by Liège. Boy, Liège came out each and every week, but Box, A67, and Roadrunner, can't forget the former champ, but it's all about the Liège.
6 wins for Liège. That is the winningest driver out there in EMEA, and an incredible slew of victories for him. He is such a racer. You see the way he calculates his moves, studies the track, learns from the environment around him, and yeah, every now and again, trips over another car.
It didn't matter what track we threw at him, what car we threw at him, whether it was a Civic or a Ferrari F40. He took every challenge we gave him and knocked it out. Andy, any challengers out there in Europe?
Any challengers? Certainly. There he is on screen, TPR Box. And this was a guy, only Lage had more finishes than this guy right here, TPR Box. Certainly a challenger. Racing in Lage's shadow, but few opportunities wasted there. I think in week 3, failed to capitalize on a poor qualifying performance.
Yeah, it was a rough week 3 for him. Roadrunner, I got to go with the former champ a year ago. This guy is fast. The faster the car, the better he is. I know he had some slow starts, but finally started finishing strong as we moved into week number 4. Watch out for Roadrunner.
You know, I've spoken to a lot of people, and everybody right now wants to be teammates with JSR Mitch. He's been the surprise story of this year, climbing up the leaderboards throughout the weeks. Week 3, he won the entire thing with an incredible move in that little punchy Honda Civic. Toe-to-toe with Lage even in week 4. So this guy's got it at the very pinnacle of the competition.
So Europe, surprise, surprise, from top to bottom. Just a stacked pack. We know Lage was the one leading the charge, but it was 6 different winners. Didn't have any multiple repeat winners. As soon as one would have a good week, next week they'd come back. So you got to give a tip of the cap to the consistency of Lage there in Europe. The question is, can he get it done on the big stage 10 days from now?
That is the massive question right now. And as we head into the playoffs, you know, we've seen a little bit of racing tonight, a bit of team action, but now everyone, you know, the smile fades, the eyes zone in, and we all start taking Forza very, very seriously once again.
He's a motivated driver right now. Lage did not win the last Forza Racing Championship. You better believe he wants to win this one.
Well, if that doesn't get you fired up, as I mentioned, we are just 10 days away from the Series 1 playoff right here in Seattle.
And the green lights are on. We're racing. Ooh, a big altercation there.
Whew. Pure speed right now. That's right, just 10 days away from the Series 1 playoffs right here in Seattle. It is going to be great. You guys are going to be there. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be there. I'll see you guys in Series 2. But no doubt, we'll be watching as 50 of the best racers ascend on this city. And we actually had the final results in already for race number 3, so that's good news. Let's check it out. If things stay the way they are, Note South is going to get a penalty. That's going to drop him down to 4th place. Actually had a big enough lead over Veeps that you got a penalty, slap on the wrist, but you go nowhere. You're going to stay in 4th.
Yeah, South still up there in 4th, so still, you know, in the battle of the BMWs, if you like. AMS, TPR, TX3, then JSR. In that order, best of the rest was Veeps in that Audi with that heartfelt fight, defeating Hard BR.
Your race winner in the call of the night, AMS, Vanquish, started that race in 5th and didn't have to. The other BMWs were farther down that pack, so AMS strategy played out perfectly today.
Well, except for your main man wrecking, going to the pits, getting 0 points.
It's all part of the strategy, Scott. It was all planned.
Hey, when you have a hot pocket that's in the microwave, sometimes you just gotta step away from the race for a minute. I mean, we all got needs.
I thought that was going to be like an extended metaphor. I was like, when you got a hot pocket, I was like, oh, what wisdom am I about to absorb?
There's no metaphors when it comes to hot pockets, man. It's just cheese.
It's just cheese.
Well, let's take a look at the overall leaderboard now that we all have all 3 races done, and it's going to be AMS. It doesn't matter. I'm sorry, Roadrunner. You're welcome. 40 points for him. That leads all scores. TX3 doing a nice job, making the long trip over here to Seattle, getting settled in. Back-to-back second-place finishes for them today.
Yeah, best of the rest twice for TX3, so nicely done for them. JSR in third with TPR all the way down in fourth. Alien Motorsport, though, great momentum now at the end of this day's racing.
Seattle, remember, in the team invitational, they finished fourth out of those teams. Complete reversal takes first today.
Well, you know, some of the drivers that are going to be competing in our Series 1 playoff, if you need a reminder, if you haven't seen it on social media, here's some of the drivers that are going to be out here in Seattle competing. That Group 1, Group 2, scary. I talked about it earlier. Anytime you have Virus and McQueen in the same group, someone's going over the wall.
Mitch and Lage as well. Group 2 right there, as you say, with Virus and McQueen in the same one. That's going to be fascinating to watch. Mitch and Lage have been fighting like cats and dogs throughout the end of this season.
Andy, that Group 3 is really open for grabs.
Pick a winner. I can't. Anyone down that order's got a fantastic opportunity to come out of that group.
If I had to lean somewhere, since I'm not going to be here, I'll make some picks. I think you're going to see Lightning out of 1, Lage out of 2, and I would go with Force 1 out of Valachi coming out of that third group. I can make picks. I'm not going to be here. Those are the top 3 that I see. And as you think about this structure, so you got 11 drivers in that Group 1, 11 drivers in Group 2, 12 and 3. Those 8 will advance to the semifinals. Then the top 6, that's 12 in total, will be there on the 17th. That should be a wild finals here in Seattle.
It's a grueling event, Scott. You got to just hold the pressure and just take it on your shoulders, work your way through from the quarterfinals, through the semis, all the way to those massive finals.
You lean in anyway. I mean, these guys, we've seen the skill gap be so thin. I know you got some favorites, but really anything can happen out there.
I like the guys who drive fast now. I like the guys who are driving fast heading into the finals. We all know who's fast, but I like the guys who are getting faster. JSR Mitch comes to mind.
Mitch.
He's going to be one to watch. We got 2 of those guys that are hanging out with us still. Let's go back over to Bravo, who's hanging out.
Hey, thanks, guys. I wanted to grab both Lightning and Hard BR for one last time after this team races. Before we talk about the Series 1 playoffs coming up so soon, I want to talk about the team races because it's so rare that we get to have these kind of fun exhibition team races. Lightning, I'll start with you. Race number 2, how did you guys approach that? Who did you put in which car and why?
It's kind of, I told them, pick which car you're comfortable in, and I'll just, I'll take whatever's left. It just so happened that I loved the Challenger, but then the Escort, I just hated it because it was so slow. It was easy to drive, but it was off pace.
Hard BR, talk to me about race number 3, your guys' picks and bans. Of course, picks and bans is not something we normally see, right, week to week in the Forza RC. How did you guys approach race number 3?
So we decided to ban Suzuka wet because we already got 2 races today in the wet, and we don't like it personally, so it's not good for the drivers. It's hard to practice. So we decided to ban Suzuka and the Beetle because it was not the best car to drive around the Hockenheim and another tracks. So that's why we decided to ban those.
Awesome. Of course, now, just as the guys on the desk were saying, only 10 days left before the Series 1 playoffs, right back here in Seattle. So you guys have to get on planes, go home and practice, get on another plane to come back here. Lightning, talk to me about what your practice looks like over these next 10 days.
I haven't sweat in a long time, but next 10 days is going to be sweating. I'm up here offline. Nobody's gonna mess with me. I'm just going to sweat.
Heck yeah, that offline status. I respect the grind. Hard BR, how about you? I know you have not only travel to worry about 20 hours each way, but also school. How do you plan to attack this next week of practice?
Well, I tried to solve some school problems that I've lost some exams, so I need to replace them. Then I try to go full sweat on this one as well because it's the playoff, then it's serious, and we want to do the best we can,
Right, lots of money up for grabs. I think TX3 fans at home will be happy to know that both of you are going full sweat for this one. 10 days left before that show. I want to thank you guys so much for joining us here today. So special to have you in the studio. You guys are coming into the Series 1 playoffs as the most dominant team. I want to wish you the best of luck, Senna, as well. And I want to also thank everyone at the desk, Scott Cole, Ali Tack, Andy Berg. My name is Bravo. We also want to thank our sponsors, Playseat and Plantronics, here for this fantastic Series 1. We're only 10 days away for the Series 1 playoffs, also live from Seattle, June 16 and 17. Don't miss it, and we'll see you then.